Yo guys, what's up? So today we are going to discuss a chapter named When Wishes Come True, and it is written by Rabindranath Tagore. I'm going to read it out for you and explain it to you. Susheel did not want to go to school. To begin with, there was a geography test today, and then the neighbouring Bose family would light firecrackers in the evening, and they had already begun boisterous preparations. Since last night, Susheel had been looking forward to spending the day at their house. So this little boy named Susheel, he is very reluctant to go to school because there is a geography test, and everybody in our childhood, we all do not like to attempt tests, revision tests. And probably geography might be his weakest subject. That's why he did not want to attend it. And also his neighboring Bose family had some preparations, some festive preparations to light the firecrackers, and he wanted to see them getting prepared. He did not want to attend the school. So he was thinking, he was looking forward to spend the day at their house. After a lot of thought, he went back to his bed. His father Subal asked, "Why are you still in bed? Won't you go to school?" Susheel said, "I have a stomach ache. I can't go to school today." So now he's making some lame excuse about having a stomach ache to avoid going to school. But he wants to participate in whatever the Bose family is doing. So he's making this excuse to his father, whose name is Subal. Subal had no difficulty in guessing the truth. "Stomach ache," he said. "Then you need not go to the Bose house either. I had got some sweets for you, but you better not have those today. Lie here quietly and I'll get some medicine." So Subal was Susheel's father, right? So he had made so many excuses that Subal knew that he was making an excuse. So he insisted him not to even go to the Bose house either. And he might have lied to his son that he has got sweets, and he made that situation peculiarly awkward to him so that he would realize that how bad it is to miss school. Subal went away to get a particularly bitter medicine. Susheel was in a fix. Fix meaning is awkward or difficult situation, or in other words, you can say it is an embarrassing situation. When his father returned with a large cup, he jumped up from his bed and said, My stomach ache's gone. I'll go to school." Now, how all of us do whenever. So here in this situation, he is acting like how all the children do. Now his father went to get a very bitter medicine to teach him a lesson, in order to teach him a good lesson so that next time he doesn't miss anything, no matter what happens. So now he's taking back the excuse to get out of this difficult or awkward situation by saying that his stomach ache is gone. His father said, "No need to. Have this and lie down quietly." And making sure that Susheel had taken the medicine, he went out and locked the door. Susheel threw himself on his bed and gave way to tears. "If only I were as old as father," he thought, "I could do whatever I wish. No one would lock me up." Now his father was punishing him. He insisted him on not going to school, laying down and having that bitter medicine. Now Susheel, he found that quite dirty. The taste, or bitter taste, was very bad for him, and threw himself up means he vomited on his bed and he cried because he wanted to go to that he wanted to visit the Bose house. And yeah, he wanted to be a grown up. He hated being a child, and he wished to become into a grown-up like his father so that he wouldn't get locked up. Meanwhile, Subal sat outside thinking, how I neglected my studies when I was young at school. If I could get back those golden days, I'd not waste my time but work hard. Now, Our parents always say that you should study to get good marks and have a good job in the future, have a good business, or you can do whatever you wish to. So his father was thinking that I was also like Subal when I was also like Susheel when I was small, and I also want to become into a child. So he wanted to become into a youngster again so that he could reuse his time to become something good. At that moment, the goddess of wish fulfillment was passing by. She read the minds of both father and son. So there is an element of fiction here. There's no goddess of wish fulfillment. But yeah, in real life, whenever we affirmate, that gets true sometimes. The universe gives it to us. So it is an indirect message that their affirmation somehow came true in their dreams or in reality, whatever the story wants to say. From tomorrow, you will be as young as your son, she said to Subal, and you will be as old as your father, she told Susheel. So she, as usual, she granted their wishes. Susheel and Subal were delighted. Usually, Subal could not sleep well at night. Who is Subal? Susheel's father. So he is saying that he could not. The chapter is explaining that he could not usually sleep very well at night because he was a grown-up and he always used to have tension for some or the other things. But the next day, he jumped up from his bed at daybreak. He found that his lost teeth had returned, his mustache and beard had disappeared. The clothes he had put on before going to bed had become ridiculously loose. The sleeves hung near the floor. The dhoti trailed so as to make it difficult for him to walk. Trailed means it was touching the floor because he had become a small child now, and those clothes were oversized for him. And his father observed these changes the next day. So, same happened with Susheel as well. Susheel, on the other hand, had been in the habit of getting up and beginning his antics. What is the meaning of antics? Funny or silly behavior. So children are usually in the habit of acting silly whenever they grow up. So now this boy, he had a habit of getting up from the morning and troubling everybody around him, and of course having fun. This morning, however, he slept on, and when finally his father Subal's noisy activity woke him up, he found that his clothes were about to burst at their seams. So now the father had become into a child, so he got this habit of antics thing. And now when the other person, that is the child, he grew up, so he slept on. He was an old age person now, so he slept on, and he woke up due to his father, his noisy father, who was now a child. He woke up due to that. And then he found out that his clothes had become very, very tight, and they were about to burst at their seam. The stitching were about to open, you can say that. He had grown taller. A beard and mustache covered his face almost entirely, and in a place of thick head of hair, he was bald above his forehead. So now these changes were observed in him as well. They had got their wishes, but it was not all plain sailing. Susheel had thought if he became independent and grown up, he would climb trees, dive into ponds, eat raw mangoes, and go where he pleased, and also do as he pleased. No one would stop him. So here, both of them had got their wishes, but it was not all plain sailing. Plain sailing means easy without problems. So now they both were facing problems in their life. They were not used to the change they got right now. So they are explaining their situation here. So now he's saying that he thought that he would be independent, go wherever he want and eat as many as raw mangoes he wanted, dive into ponds, etc., etc. But let's see what happens once he tries to do that. No one would stop him. But when he tried to climb a tree with his aged body, he failed. Yesterday, he had been as agile as a squirrel. Agile means able to move quickly and easily. Today, as soon as he stepped on a branch, it broke under his weight and he fell down. Some passers-by had a good laugh at the sight. Passers-by means the strangers, the people who walk around you are also known as passers-by. So they were having a very good laugh at that sight. They were like, they enjoyed the man falling. They did not know that he was not used to being a grown-up, of course. So Susheel gave up and got a rupee's worth of sweets instead. So the story is quite an old time. So the sweets used to cost 1 rupees at that time. So he had been very partial to sweet. Here partial to means fond of. It was his favorite food item. He put one in his mostly toothless mouth but did not find it all that tasty. So now he had grown up and many of his teeth had gone away. Now he did not find it all that tasty. Once you don't have much teeth, you are not able to taste the stuff properly. I'd better give these to my father, he thought, then corrected himself. So many sweets will make him ill. Now when he could not taste the sweets, he thought, come on, I'll give this to my father. But then because he had become a grown-up, he was more worried. He grew worried. So he said, no, he will turn ill. He will become sick and won't be able to attend the school. So he won't be giving it to his father. Subal had always had the honorable intention to close the door of his room, sit quietly inside and concentrate on his studies. Perhaps even stop listening to the stories from grandmother and study till 10 p.m. or 11 p.m. Young Subal, however, seemed very reluctant to go to school. Here they're explaining the situation of Susheel's father, who had now become into a small child. So what has happened, when he was an adult person, he was very fond of reading. He used to study till 10 or 11 p.m. and there might be some channel or some kind of stuff where they would say grandmother's stories. So he might stop listening to it and then go on studying till 10 p.m. and 11 p.m. at the night. But now when he had become small, he did not wish to study. He was very reluctant to study. Reluctant means unwilling, not wanting to do something. So it is a one-word substitution, reluctant. Susheel frowned. Father, won't you go to school? Subal scratched his head, looked down and murmured, I have a stomach ache. Susheel was annoyed. Indeed, I know all about such stomach aches. Now the father and the son, who have swapped the places, are having a conversation. Now Susheel is saying to his father that you have to go to school now because you have become into a small child. Now he is making the same excuse as he used to make. He's making the same lame excuse of the stomach ache. But Susheel is annoyed. He already knows, he has already made so many excuses that now, okay, he knows that that his father is lying. As a matter of fact, Susheel had invented so many excuses to miss school that his father could not have tricked him. This is what I said right now. Susheel forced his young father to go to school. After all, Subal became impatient after school. Subal became impatient to run around and play. But right then, old Susheel put on his glasses and sat down to read the Ramayana. Now I already mentioned that he had made so many excuses that that his father could not have tricked his son for this. Now after school, all of us want to go down and play, of course, right? Nobody likes doing homework. Yeah. So his son, that is Susheel, he sat down. He had become mature now. So he thought he'd read the Ramayana so that Subal would not disturb him. He made him sit down with some sums, specially chosen to take up hours. And this is what happens with everybody. But Susheel himself was far from happy. Now, he was an adult, but still he wasn't feeling happy due to these following reasons. All his life he had bathed at the pond. Today when he tried to do that, his arthritis took a turn for the worst. He put a whole pan in his mouth and then could not chew it. People reproached him for such a childish behavior in his old age, and that made him blush. So now he wanted to bathe in the pond as usual, as he used to do in the childhood, but he had this degenerative disease known as arthritis, where the joints and knees and all the joints basically of the body become swollen and stiff, so that his arthritis took a turn for the worst. And also he had never had a pan in his life. Of course, he had become into a grown up just in a day, so he wasn't able to relish the pan also, because he put the whole pan in his mouth. And then people did not know that he was a child before, right? That's why they reproached him for such a childish behavior. Reproached means criticized, said they did not like or appreciate what the other person is doing. Criticized means doing the bad mouthing of someone. So they were saying that no, that's not a good behavior you did, that's not the way you have pan. So, and that made him blush. Blush means once you are ashamed and you are in an awkward situation and your face turns red. Okay, Subal too would occasionally forget that he was now a young boy. He would go and take his place amongst old men playing cards and speak like them, whereupon they would throw him out for acting too smart. Now Subal, his father, who has now become small, he used to forget that he is a small child, he has to behave like a kid. But occasionally means sometimes, seldom he would forget that he was now a young boy, and he would take his place amongst old people, the other elder people who were playing cards, and he would try to act too smart. He might be very good at playing cards, so he was acting too smart. And the people did not accept a child being so smart in an adult game. So they threw him out for acting too over smart. There are more instances given here. He would address his teacher like a peer and be made to stand on the bench. He would address his teacher like a friend, and then he would get punished for that and the teacher would make him stand on the bench as a punishment. To the barber he said, "Why didn't you shave my beard?" The barber answered, "I'll come in another 10 years or so." Now he forgot that he did not have a beard now. So he would occasionally forget, remember that. So when he went and told the barber that, "Why didn't you come to shave my beard?" he inquired the barber. So the barber joked with him, saying that he will arrive in 10 years or so when his beard will actually grow. He would try being strict with his son Susheel, and everyone would give him a piece of his mind for misbehaving with a grown-up. Now he was his father. They had swapped places as earlier mentioned, but when he would try being strict with Susheel, Susheel did not say anything because he knew that he was his father. But the people around him used to give him a piece of his mind, means scold him as much as they could. All the frustration on the other person, they would give him a piece of his mind for acting rudely or behaving rudely with some grown-up. So here the literal meaning is scold him or her, speak to him or her angrily about what wrong he had done. It's a kind of a criticism, you can say. Thus it was not long before both Subal and Susheel wanted to go badly to their original states. So the goddess of wish fulfillment returned and asked, "Are you both satisfied?" Father and son bowed down before her and said, "Yes, please, return us to our former state." Former means original state. It's the synonym of original, former. So now they both were very frustrated by whatever was happening, and they wanted to be in the age they are. They were happy in whatever age they were. That's why they begged the goddess of wish fulfillment to return them back to their original state or the former state. And so it was granted. Again, this wish was granted. Now, the fairy is a wish fulfillment goddess. Whatever you ask her, she will fulfill it according to this story. So she granted it. Next morning, Subal woke up as old as he had been, and Susheel woke up as a young boy. Now they had become normal. Both of them felt as if they had been dreaming. Of course, this is not possible in real life, so they thought they might have been dreaming. They might have been sleeping for too long, and they might be in a deep sleep. That's why they got a very clear that clear dream which they remembered. Both of them felt as if they had been dreaming. Subal said in a grave voice. Grave means a deep voice. Like sometimes adults are telling us to do something with a deep voice, with a serious tone, you can say. Subal said in a grave voice, Susheel, won't you practice grammar? Susheel scratched his head and replied, Father, I've lost my books. Now they have started their old thing again. As in the earlier, it was mentioned that he did not want to go to school and he made all those silly excuses and insane excuses, you can say. Here they started again. So according to me, here when wishes, this is a central message of this chapter, that when wishes come true, we usually feel good, but we should wish for something which is good for us. We should not see the other person's thing and think that the grass is greener on the other side. Instead, we should wish for something which is good for us, which will help us to become a better human being and a good person in the future. So this was the message of the story, and there is a sense of humor also here, because both the father and the son have no sympathy for each other once their wishes are granted. Both of them are acting equally rudely and trying to express, they're trying to tell that how they used to feel when they were in so and so place. So this is the humor and this is the central message of the poem, of the story. Hope you enjoyed this chapter, and thank you and have a nice day. And this was the story When Wishes Come True by Rabindranath Tagore. Thank you.